What's the verdict?
Everything looks great so far. I think, we've got a lot of people going to Apple Music. We've got a lot of people trying a lot of new music. And with the numbers that we release tomorrow on downloads, we don't see any negative impact on downloads at this point.
Stephen, your review is a bit more mixed than that. Not everything looks so great, according to you.
Sure. I think Apple nailed the song selection. They have at least as much as everybody else, if not a little bit more. But I'm not sold yet on the interface. Spotify and Google Play and Tidal all have their foibles and their problems. But I think Apple's system is a little harder to navigate and harder to use just on a daily basis than the competitors.
Interesting, David. You've covered the music industry for 20 years. You worked at Universal Music Group. How worried should Spotify, Pandora be? On the other hand, we're seeing that Spotify had its best week in the Apple App Store for like a year and a half.
Yeah, and I think that's the good news here is that this is bringing streaming to more people. It's bringing more people into the ecosystem of streaming, and they can learn how to discover and how to play more music more easily, more often. And that's what we're seeing is that people are spending more time listening to music, and services like this really just increase the profile of streaming music.
So, Stephen, some quotes from your review. It's like a 40-year-old wearing Abercrombie and Fitch. Explain.
Sure. So I think they built Apple Music on top of iTunes to a large degree. And so on your computer, you're still using iTunes. On your phone, you're using Apple Music. And there's all of these shiny new interfaces and colorful screens. But at the bottom of it, it doesn't service usability. It makes things look nice or in some cases not so nice. But I think it's less about utility and more about kind of whiz-bang appearances.
So I've been bopping out to Beats One all day, their global radio service. It's a little much for me. It was a little much in the middle of a work day, maybe for when I go clubbing once a year, if I make it out once a year. But what do you guys think of Beats One? This has been the most hyped part of the service. David, is it all it's cracked up to be?
Well, I think one of the best things that it does is it brings personality to music, and it brings personality to a service that, there's a lot of streaming services out there that have playlists. There's a lot of streaming services out there that are simulcasts or built upon things that people like to listen to. But this is bringing something that is, one, we're going to try some new things here. We're going to expose music fans to some new things, but we're also going to give it a lot of personality. And you can see that the people on the air there certainly do have plenty of personality.
Stephen, on the other hand, you say it feels like your parents pretending to be cool until you come home past for curfew time.
I think playing censored songs hurts them a little bit with the attempt to seem cool and in touch. It's just sort of jarring, and if you listen to a lot of radio, you're used to that. I think a lot of the people listening to Beats One probably aren't used to that. But I do agree that the personalities are great, and I think that the people coming through in the curated playlists are also a huge strength. I've really never seen curated playlists that are this good.
Let's talk about that for a moment, though. You and I were both at WWDC. We heard Apple touting the importance of human curation. But is this really better than my Pandora playlist?
In my experience, it has been. And I say in the review that machines don't necessarily make better playlists than human beings, or human beings make better playlists than machines. But I think in this case, Apple hired the right people. They pulled editors from places like Pitchfork and Rolling Stone, and in some cases collaborated with both of those publications. So you have people who really know music and who know what people are listening to and what people want making playlists. So it's a case of the right people or the right algorithm when you need it.